Hi everybody. In this video, we'll look at Windows Server 2016 Essentials Edition from an overview perspective. At a high level, Windows Server 2016 Essentials helps you safeguard your business, improve IT efficiency and productivity, and get you ready for the cloud. And the way it does that in Safeguard Your Business, there's easy permission settings when you're setting it up and also adding users. There's just-in-time and just enough administration, Windows Defender for malware protection, and then trusted and secure boot to ensure that your system boots correctly. And then improve IT efficiency and productivity. There's this new enhanced management experience, built-in services like file shares, web server, Active Directory, certificate services, a local desktop backup, remote desktop services, and even some new PowerShell enhancements. And to get you ready for the cloud, there's easy Microsoft Cloud integration. So there's integration with Azure Active Directory, Azure Backup and Storage, Azure Virtual Networks, Azure Site Recovery, Office 365, Microsoft Intune, and remote management tools like Operations Management Suite and Remote Server Management tools. Let's take a look at what some of these features are like. So you have the Windows Server 2016 Essentials on premises and your clients are connecting to it. And in that server, you'll have Windows Defender, Active Directory for identity management and policy management, file sharing and storage for all of your end users, local backup and restore, a web server, Internet Information Services, remote access, and that's web remote access and general remote access, and then management and reporting, and then also cloud integration. So if we look at the types of cloud integration, it is actually significant. I'll talk more about integrating with all of these different services and how that's done in a moment. But just keep in mind that this is what Windows Server 2016 Essentials looks like, its entire picture. So let's look at Azure Active Directory integration first. On the left, you have your on-premises environment with Windows Server Active Directory, and then you can integrate or connect that Windows Server Active Directory with Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And then once that's done, you can then have single sign-on into a wide variety of cloud applications. Those could be Microsoft cloud applications, or they could be other vendor cloud applications as well. And then wherever your clients are, wherever they are in the world, they can actually authenticate via Azure Active Directory, and that gives them the ability to then do single sign-on into the cloud properties or into on-premises as well. For Azure Active Directory integration, it's simplify, manage, and secure your single sign-on to cloud solutions. Users can log in from anywhere without a VPN back to the server that's on premises, and it also enables high-value add-ons for more functionality and security. Some of those add-ons are things like Cloud App Security, which allows you to use those cloud applications from your on-premises environment in a more secure way. And then Azure Information Protection allows for rights management on documents, and it doesn't matter where those documents are in the world, they're covered by that rights management. The next piece is Office 365 integration. So you've got this on-prem environment, you've got Windows Server Active Directory, and one of the first things that happens is you actually have an Azure Active Directory account within Office 365. So by bringing in Office 365 with its multiple services, things like Yammer and Teams and Skype for Business and Cloud PBX and OneDrive and SharePoint and Exchange, you now have the ability to connect into, via your Windows Server Active Directory, go into Azure Active Directory and then onto Office 365. And that allows you to manage your Office 365 environment from the on-premises Windows Server 2016 Essentials environment. So you get to integrate your Active Directory and users. There's password synchronization and user synchronization as well. There's SharePoint integration. You can manage your subscription from on-premises too. In addition, you can have add-ons to the Office 365 environment, things like Dynamics 365 with CRM or field service or financials for your business. The overview here is you can accelerate your digital transformation by combining Windows Server 2016 Essentials and Office 365. You can manage many joint aspects of on-premises technology and Office 365 as well. And then you can also employ large company technologies around security, compliance, and reporting. Some of the features around security, compliance, and reporting that are built into Office 365 are very comprehensive. and you can increase your overall productivity of knowledge workers and move forward at your own pace with adopting cloud technologies. Once you've got the integration, then you can just adopt the cloud features and technologies that you want to when you want to. The next area is Intune integration. Intune is a Microsoft cloud offering that deals with management of devices and applications and even PCs as well. For Intune integration, you can integrate with Intune through Windows Server 2016 Essentials, right through the dashboard. You can manage PCs, laptops, tablets, and phones, the on-premises server, or remote users as well. And through Intune, you can protect and manage applications, data, and devices. And with Intune integration, you can configure and deploy policies on how devices are to be used, what types of applications can be used on them, where the data resides, and many other features. There's also role-based management. Different individuals in your organization can have different capabilities. And you can also create and view reports of all of the activity, all of the devices, all of the information that is in the Intune environment about your compute estate. Then you can also integrate with Azure Virtual Networks. So in the dashboard, there's the ability to connect directly into an Azure Virtual Network. And an Azure Virtual Network is a network inside Azure that is created specifically for you. So you would have this bubble, if you will, inside Azure that is specifically for the workloads that you want to have. So you can extend your on-premises networking into Azure. Much like adopting Office 365 and Azure Active Directory, you can accelerate your digital transformation by combining Windows Server 2016 Essentials and Azure Virtual Networks. And then you can also extend your on-premises compute environment to a global IT infrastructure, which is Azure. And you can employ cloud technologies to extend your reach and capability. An example might be to create websites in Europe or Singapore, wherever there's a Microsoft data center that supports Azure. And you can use dedicated high-speed networking if needed. If you have a lot of data that is transferring between on-premises and the cloud, you can opt to have high-speed networking through a feature set called ExpressRoute. And you can also move forward at your own pace. You can use Azure Virtual Networks to run one virtual machine. You can use Azure Virtual Networks to have a website. So you can move forward at your own pace in terms of Azure adoption. But having the connection to the network enables that adoption. Then there's data protection with Azure Backup. So on premises, you have a backup environment, so you can back up your end user devices onto the Windows Server 2016 Essentials device. But with Azure Backup, you can back up to the cloud. And so you've got backup, restore, the data is secure, and you can monitor and report on how much data, what's happening with that data, and other parameters as well. So there's backup to the cloud, it's offsite and long-term protection, and there's also protection from malware in that environment. Next, you can integrate with Azure Storage. So there's seamless integration with Azure Storage, and you can access a variety of storage types. They can either be blobs or actual drives or queues or tables or just store your files. And you can use Azure Storage Explorer to view the storage that's in Azure from either your desktop or the Windows Server 2016 Essentials device, or you can use third-party disk integration products where you can mount a drive in Azure and it looks like any other network share. So you would basically have, say, something like a D or an E drive, and that drive would be mounted into Azure Storage. And so when you opened it, you would see the storage in Azure. You can also just drag and drop files onto that drive in your system, and those files end up in Azure. It's very simple. So for Azure Backup and Storage, there's actually multiple backup solutions in Windows Server 2016 Essentials. You can back up to a USB drive. You can back up the local client, and you can also do Azure Backup. And then Azure Backup and Storage provide really many benefits. It's offsite and secure. There's compliance in Azure that you may not have on premises. There's role-based management where you can determine who gets what type of storage and how much, and you can create and view reports of the overall storage and backup environment. So in summary, high-value features for small business on-premises computing. There's also significant cloud integration that's built in. And you can easily extend that cloud integration with add-on products that enhance security and productivity, like Cloud App Security, like information protection. And you can use enterprise level features like management, reporting, and analytics by integrating with Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics CRM and more. So even small businesses can have the same types of technology that large businesses have today. And then you can embrace the cloud at your own pace. Once you've got Windows Server 2016 Essentials, you can use those connectors, use the integration with Office 365, Azure, Azure Active Directory, virtual networks, backup and storage, and do those at your own pace as opposed to having to do them all at once. So with that, I hope that was informative, and thank you very much for watching.